Jealousy, okay? So, okay. And يتمنى زوال النعمة. For the person to wish that a blessing is taken away from you. This is called hasad. Whether or not they want it for themselves, it's irrelevant. They could want you to lose it and them to take it, or they could just not want you to have it. تمني زوال النعمة. I wish that you lose this ni'mah that you have. This is called hasad. And hasad is somewhat natural. There's different forms of hasad. Hasad that's madhmoom and hasad that's mahmood. Hasad that's blameworthy and haram, and hasad that's recommended. The Prophet Muhammad said, لا hasad illa fitnatayn. There's no hasad that's allowed except for in two things. What are they? For a book. Hold on, one at a time. Go ahead, brother. You guys all want the books, mashallah. Go ahead.
One is knowledge.
I'll give you half the book. Okay, so number one, he said, knowledge. Someone who Allah Azza wa Jal blessed with knowledge, or in some narrations, blessed with the Qur'an. So that person teaches the knowledge and teaches the Qur'an. So you think to yourself, I wish I had that for myself. This is hasad that's allowed and encouraged. And we should be trying to, meaning if we don't have this form of hasad, there's a problem. If we see someone of knowledge, and we could care less whether we have it or not, it doesn't motivate us to learn, or that's a problem. Number two, now you get the whole book. Well, someone that Allah Azza wa Jal blessed with money, and he spends it for the sake of Allah. So you think to yourself, if I had money like that, if I had money like that, I would be spending for that. I wish I had money like him. For if I did, I'd be spending like him, maybe even more. These are two forms of hasad here that are allowed. But every other form of hasad, in any other blessing, when we wish for someone to lose their blessing, this is a major sin of the heart. This is from the kaba'ir, from the major sins of the heart. And this is what we seek protection in Allah from in this chapter. وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدٍ. So why is it إِذَا حَسَدٍ? Because when the person is envying, when he has that feeling inside, when you share with him your success, your blessing, your new car, your new job, your marriage, whatever it might be, when that person feels that evil inside and thinks, I want him to lose it, why does he have it? Something is released, and only Allah Azza wa Jalla knows the reality. But something is released that will have an immediate negative effect on the life of that person. And we believe in this. And this is why وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدٍ. We seek protection in Allah Azza wa Jalla from the envier when he envies. And notice about hasad, what was the first sin ever committed? فِي السَّمَاءِ وَفِي الْأَرْضِ. In the heavens and in the earth, it all revolved around hasad. What did Iblis say? أنا خير منه. I'm better than him. Why would I make sujood to him? I'm better than him. You created me from fire, you created him from dirt. And on the earth, when the murder of the sons of Adam, what did he say? فَتُقُبِّلَ مِنْ أَحَدِهِمَا وَلَمْ يُتَقَبَّلْ مِنَ الْآخَرِ قَالَ لَأَقْتُلَنَّكَ. The sacrifice was accepted by one and rejected by the other. He said, I'll kill you. Because of that envy and that jealousy. So the ulama, they say, Al-ananiya aslul hasad. The ananiya, the ana, the self-centered individual that wants everything to revolve around himself and all of the blessings to be his and doesn't like khair for anybody else and only thinks about himself. This is the asl of hasad. This is where hasad comes from. And this is why we're encouraged over and over to love for our brother what we love for ourselves, to treat others the way we want to be treated, to not be so self-centered. Not only think about yourself. Develop that brotherhood, that relationship with the other people as if it's you. Make dua for other people, the malaika will make dua for you. Now, notice here in these things, in these three things that we're seeking protection from in Allah Azza wa Jalla from, what do we notice about them? From the evil of the nightfall, when it becomes still. From the evil of from the evil of the sorcerer when they blow into their magic, and from the evil of the hasid when they commit their hasad. What do we find in common with all three of these things here?
External sources.
What's that?
They all are external sources.
They're all external sources, for sure. All three of these things are external factors. That's number one. And number two, all three of these things are not apparent to anyone. These things are hidden. The night is hidden. The evil that goes on at night is generally hidden. The magic of the sorcerers is hidden. The hasad, the envy in the person's heart is something hidden in their heart. You might be getting it from the ones closest to you. You might be giving your own child hasad, and you're not knowing it. It's something hidden. By the way, what are we encouraged to do to prevent the hasad? If we, for example, in one of your children, you see something, Noor,
Allahumma barik.
Allahumma barik. Okay. And some scholars say, MashaAllah, based on the verse in the Qur'an, Allahumma barik. The Prophet Muhammad said, إِذَا رَأَيْتَ شَيْئًا يُعْجِبُكَ فَبَارِكْ. If you see something that impresses you, that you're pleased with, your own child, the way they look, the way they're acting, their behavior, their knowledge, their manners, you can afflict them with ayn and hasad, whatever it might be. So we ordered, فَبَارِكْ. Allahumma barik. Tabarakallah. Or we could say, according to the verse in the Qur'an, this was a hadith. The verse in the Qur'an, وَلَوْلَا, when the people of the two gardens, he told them, وَلَوْلَا أَنْ دَخَلْتَ جَنَّتِكَ قُلْتَ مَا شَاءَ اللَّهِ لَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. If only when you entered your garden you would have said, مَا شَاءَ اللَّهِ لَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. So here we could say, the saying of مَا شَاء اللَّهِ comes as well. Okay? So the point is that the three things that we're asking Allah to protect us from, the night and the magic and the hasad, they're all hidden and not apparent. So what are we saying? We're saying here, if we were to summarize the surah, we're saying that there's harm all around us. There's potential harm everywhere. Most of that harm we're not even aware of. And we can't even see it. So run to Allah. Come close to Allah. Make awd to Allah, the one who brings life out of that dead seed, the one who brings the morning come from the night. Run to Allah for your protection. This was, if we were to summarize this chapter in a line or two, this is the summary of the surah. That there's evil around us, most of it we can't even see, we're not even aware of. So seek protection by running towards Allah. فَفِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ. Seek your protection with Allah Azza wa Jalla. If you do so, Allah will bring life to your heart and will protect you. Now we'll stop here with this surah. Let's just go on briefly. Can we make it for 10 more minutes? We have a couple of books left. 10 more minutes, inshallah. Now the next surah, these two chapters are related. They're correlated. They were revealed together, 11 ayat. And many surah in the Qur'an were like that. What are some other chapters in the Qur'an that were revealed together, for example? Al-Fil, Al-Quraysh, revealed together. Al-Duha, Al-Inshirah, for example. So they were revealed together. So Allah Azza wa Jalla also said, right after that, and Jibreel revealed these verses again, at the well. When they found the magic spell at the well, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. Say, I seek refuge in the Rabb of An-Nas, of the people. Now notice here, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ مَلِكِ النَّاسِ إِلَهِ النَّاسِ. Say, I seek refuge in the Lord of the people, the King of the people, the God of the worshipped one of the people. How many names of Allah did we use in the first surah? Al-Falaq. How many names of Allah did we use in the first surah? One, which was Rabb. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. And then we went on to list the different things that we're seeking our protection from. How many names of Allah Azza wa Jalla did we use here? Rabb al-Nas, Malik al-Nas, Ilah al-Nas. So now we're using 3 names of Allah. And all of that is to seek protection in Allah from one thing. We used one name of Allah to seek protection in Allah from many things. Min sharri ma khalaq. Every form of evil from the night, from the magicians, from the hasad, we use one name of Allah. Now we're using 3 names of Allah to seek protection from one thing. What would that tell you? That which we're seeking protection in is very, very dangerous. What we're about to seek protection in, what we're being led up to here, is something of great danger. So we're calling out to Allah with 3 of His names. And what are we seeking protection Allah in here? Min sharril waswas al-khannas. From the evil of al-waswas al-khannas. The whispering retreater. The whispering retreater. Why is the shaitan called al-waswas? And why is he called al-khannas? Idris.
Well, I only have an answer for one of the questions.
Why is it called al-waswas, the whispering one?
Because he whispers inside of people's ears, and they do things that he wants them to do.
The angel's prayer. Did you get that one already?
No, I have a different one.
This is for your brother. Okay. So because the shaitan is whispers. So the da'wah of the shaitan is limited to what? Is limited to whispering. It's nothing more than a whisper. And this is why the Prophet Muhammad said, Alhamdulillah alladhi radda amrahu ila al-waswasa. All praises to Allah, the one that limited his affair to just a whisper. Alhamdulillah, it's nothing more than a whisper. But does that whisper ever stop? Do we ever get a break? As Al-Hasan al-Basri said, when he was asked, does the shaitan take a break? Does he ever rest? And he said, if the shaitan ever took a break, we'd find raha. We'd be able to rest, but never. So the shaitan is al-waswas and he's al-khannas. The retreating whisperer. Why is it called retreating? Because, and we'll go over this now in the end, because it's very, very easy to make the shaitan retreat, run away, to flee. To expel the shaitan is very, very easy. It's very easy for the ones who try. إِنَّ كَيْدَ الشَّيْطَانِ كَانَ ضَعِيفًا. The plotting of the shaitan is very weak. It's very weak. It's very easy to break. And this is just a little joke here. But Allah Azza wa Jalla said about the plotting of the woman, for example, إِنَّ كَيْدَكُنَّ عَظِيمٌ. The plotting of the woman could be severe. I'll move over a little bit this way. But Allah Azza wa Jalla calls the plotting of the shaitan very weak. Very weak. For the believer, for the one who understands how to expel it. Okay? And we'll talk about that in the end here. الَّذِي يُوَسْوِسُ فِي صُدُورِ النَّاسِ. The one who whispers into the sudur of the nas. What is a sadr? What is sudur? The chest. Why is it not في قلوب الناس? Okay, but the scholars here say there's a wisdom why it's not في قلوب الناس. It's not the qalb. What's that? The heart has taqwa. We're getting there. So the whisper of the shaitan is limited to the chest of mankind. You determine what you allow to penetrate your heart and what you block from entering the heart. Depending on your taqwa, depending on the barrier around your heart, depending on your iman, depending on that fortification that you have, is what penetrates and what doesn't. So the shaitan's whisper is into the sudur. For some people, the shaitan looks for the crack, and when he enters the crack, he takes over the control. And this is why it's very dangerous to have that weakness of the heart. أَلَا إِنَّ فِي الْجَسَدِ مُضْغَةً إِذَا صَلَحَتْ صَلَحَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ. Verily in the body is a piece of flesh. If it's good, the whole body is good. If it's bad, the whole body is corrupt. Verily it's the heart. So if we allow the shaitan to penetrate the heart, those doubts and those whispers and those desires and those sins that we don't make tawbah, those black dots that accumulate one after the other, and then the ran, the seal around the heart, if we allow that to take over the heart, then the whole body is corrupted at that point. The control room is taken over. The shaitan enters and controls from within. But initially, the waswasa is only fi sudur al-nas. Min al-jinnati wal-nas. And this waswasa comes from the shayateen of jinn and of the nas. Now, we said in the kayd al-shaytani kana da'ifa. The plot of the shaytan here, we use 3 names of Allah to seek protection in Allah from the whispers of the shaytan. Now, what can we do to expel the effect of the shaytan? Many things. What can we do? Allah Azza wa Jal calls the whispering of the shaytan, the plot of the shaytan, as being da'if for 2 reasons. Number 1, the shaytan is nothing more, the plot of the shaytan is just an invitation. And number 2, every plot of the shaytan is countered by the plot of Allah Azza wa Jal. So how do we expel the shaytan? How? What are the ways that we're given? Okay, number 1, we have an isti'adah. An isti'adah. And here we're given in this surah, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ بِمَلِكِ النَّاسِ إِلَهِ النَّاسِ. Say. So use these words. أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ. قُلْ أَعُوذُ. You have to use these words of isti'adah. These are powerful words. When the Prophet Muhammad saw somebody angry, his face red, blowing up, he said, I know some words that are so simple that if he were to say it, لَذَهَبَ عَنْهُ مَا يَجِدْ. Everything he's feeling right now would disappear. What were they? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. So somebody went to him and said, the Prophet Muhammad said that there are some words that you could say and you'll feel, everything you're feeling will be gone. So what did he say? He got angry. He said, what am I, a jinn? Why would I make isti'adah? Am I a jinn? Do I have a jinn in me? So this is the dangers of the anger. So what is isti'adah? What else? That's number 1.
The adhan.
The adhan. Noor said the adhan, calling the adhan. Making sure we're calling the adhan. Sometimes we're not even praying. And when we're praying, we're jumping into it. Making sure that we're taking our time, calling the adhan, calling the iqamah. We know in the hadith, authentic hadith, that when the adhan is called, the shaitan runs away, making noises. And when the adhan is called, what else? Okay, the wudu. Making wudu will expel the shaitan. Very easy. The Prophet Muhammad said that shaitan is created from fire. And water expels fire. So if any one of you feels angry, then go make wudu. Because anger is from the shaitan and water will expel the shaitan. Making the wudu. Okay, what else? We have wudu, we have isti'adah. What else? Okay, so when we're talking about anger, we have our own remedies for anger. The Prophet Muhammad said, if you're standing, sit down. If you're still angry, lay down. Go make wudu, make the isti'adah. What are other ways that we can work on to expel the shaitan? We have a major way is ikhlas. Ikhlas. The shaitan himself says in the Qur'an, he announces this weakness when he says, إِلَّا عِبَادَكَ مِنْهُمُ الْمُخْلَصِينَ. When he says, I'm going to misguide all of them, O Allah, except for your servants who have ikhlas. Except for your servants who have ikhlas. Why is that? Why does the shaitan already acknowledge the defeat? That I can misguide everyone except for someone who has sincerity. I can't mess with him. I stand no chance, I'm giving up from now. Why? Why? Oh. Okay, the angels and Allah are all with them. Sultan?
أعلى درجة الإخلاص لما يكون الإخلاص معناته إن الشيطان يبتعد عنك أنت متقي الله في جميع الأمور.
The person who has ikhlas, why is he doing what he's doing? For the sake of Allah. The person who has true ikhlas, everything that person does becomes for the sake of Allah. His ibadah is for the sake of Allah. His adat are for the sake of Allah. His day-to-day actions are for the sake of Allah. He sleeps for the sake of Allah. He eats for the sake of Allah. He has even spousal relations for the sake of Allah. He gets rewarded for sleeping, and rewarded for eating, and rewarded for fulfilling his desire, and rewarded for his ibadah. Can the shaitan stand a chance if a person is acquiring good deeds and sincere in his action in everything that he does? If you're getting good deeds while you're sleeping, and you're getting good deeds while you're eating, and while you're walking, and while you're working, and while you're obeying Allah and worshiping Allah, Does the shaitan stand any chance with this individual? Obviously the answer is no. So we have to ask ourselves, why do we do what we do? It's very easy to alter the intention. Why are we here right now? Why did you come tonight? Well, why will you stand in a few minutes and pray Isha? Why? What's the reason we're doing it? Why do we go home and go to sleep? Is it just because I'm tired now? I'm tired, I need to sleep. My body's tired. It's very easy to change the intention to become from the mukhlasin, to have that ikhlas. I'm sleeping now at this time so I can wake up for Fajr. Now all of a sudden your intention is pure for the sake of Allah, you're rewarded all night now for the sleep. So ikhlas. Also, al-ubudiyyah, becoming a true abd. And again, Allah Azza wa Jalla says, Inna ibadi laysa laka alayhim sultan. Verily, my ibad, you'll have no authority over them. My ibad. Now we've talked about this before. What does it mean to be a abd to Allah? A slave of Allah. Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying to the shaitan, my ibad, my true ibad, who perfect their ubudiyyah, you'll have no chance in this. You have no authority over them whatsoever. But the problem comes when we refuse to be a abd to Allah Azza wa Jalla. And what does it mean to refuse to be a abd? We talk about that, the scholars give the example of the real life, the dunya example. If we had a slave, or in our day time, if we hired an employee, and we ordered that employee to do this and don't do that, clean this way, don't touch that, come at this time and leave at that time, what would we do if the person disobeyed each and every commandment, did everything we're doing wrong? What we said not to touch, he touched it. Want to be there, didn't show up. What would we do? So we fire that individual. So a true abd to Allah is the one that hears and obeys, that strives to hear and obey every order of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Sami'na wa ta'na. I'm not here to quarrel. I'm not here to ask why. I'm not here to use my own intellect so that I can refuse something or deny something. First and foremost, I hear and obey, and then I'll understand why. And then I'll seek the wisdom, and then I'll seek the knowledge. But first and foremost, my goal is Sami'na wa ta'na. I hear and I obey. This is a true abd who lives his life according to the commandments of Allah Azza wa Jalla. According to the Qur'an. This is why the Prophet Muhammad was described as being a walking Qur'an. Everything in the Qur'an he would do, every haram, every prohibition he would stay away from. The Qur'an was his life. So being perfect, being a perfect abd to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Also remembering Allah, making our dhikr will expel the shaitan very easily. Saying Bismillah when we enter the home does what? Well, the shaitan says, I have no place to sleep tonight. When the person says Bismillah. Saying Bismillah when we eat our food. Shaitan says, I've got no food to eat tonight. Making our dhikr. You get in the car. Bismillah. Tawakkaltu ala Allah. Wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. One shaitan says to another, فَكَيْفَ لَكَ بِرَجُلٍ قَدْ هُدِيَ وَكُفِيَ وَوُقِيَ. What are you going to do with someone who's been protected and guided and sufficed for? What can we do with him? And they leave him alone. So making our dhikr throughout the day, our morning dhikr, our night dhikr, very important. Each one of these things, we see in these adhkar, whoever says this, no harm can touch him that day. Whoever recites this one ayah, nothing evil or bad can come to him all day. Whoever recites it at night, no bad can come to him all night. So making our morning adhkar, our evening adhkar, making our dhikr throughout the day, before we eat, or we sleep, getting into the habit of always making our dhikr. So I'll end, we're going to pray the Isha prayer now. I'll end by saying that these chapters here, we have to apply them to our life. They're surah that we all know. Nobody had heard these ayats for the first time today. We all know them, we all memorize them. We have to apply them to our life. Understand what they mean. When we read them, try to understand what are we seeking protection in Allah from. What are we running to Allah? What are we running away from? And who are we running towards? When should we recite them? The Prophet Muhammad would recite them in the morning. He would recite them in the evening. He would recite them in some narrations after every prayer. He would recite them at night and spit into his hands a dry spit 3 times, al-Ikhlas, al-Falaq, al-Nas, and wipe over his whole body. This is called ruqya. He would do this every night 3 times. So 1 time all 3 surah and wipe, and another time and then wipe, and then the 3rd time. Using these verses for healing. When someone is in pain, when someone is ill, when someone is not feeling right, using these ayat, applying them to our life, understanding what they mean. Don't take them for granted. Shaykh al-Islam said about these verses in Ayat al-Kursi, he said these verses are like the most powerful sword, the best or the most precise and the sharpest sword, these verses here. But he said, but they serve no purpose if the person doesn't know how to hold it. Or like a gun in our time. If you hand someone the strongest gun, he'll probably shoot himself if he doesn't know how to use a weapon. So we need to understand we have the powerful ayat in our hands. But in order to get the effect of these ayat, we have to understand them. We have to understand how to use them. Understand when to use them and apply them to our life. The last thing, I'll end with a 30-second story. There was from one of the scholars that specialized in ruqya in Morocco. He said that there was somebody who every time they would get married, there was a woman there, and she made an enterprise out of magic. So she'd tell the newlywed couple, it was known, if you got married, you have to go to her. If you didn't go to her and pay her some money, then your marriage is ruined. And she was going to do some magic, and you won't be able to have any relations with the spouse, and your marriage will be destroyed. So everybody, it was a culture, a tradition. Anybody before getting married, they'd go, that was part of the marriage. You go pay the money, and you live happily ever after. And this was her life, her profession, her monopoly, her enterprise. So one of the young people of knowledge, he went to one of the mashayikh, his name Sheikh Abdul Salam al-Bali, and he told him, yeah, Sheikh, I want to get married, but I want to break this habit of the people. The people's hearts, and they think that she's a raqi. They think that she's actually doing ruqya. And the people's hearts are attached to her, and she's doing magic on the one. I want to break this here. So the Shaykh told him, make sure you make your morning adhkar that morning and that night, and get up on the minbar on Jum'ah and announce to everyone that I am getting married, and I'm not going to this lady, and my life inshallah is going to be perfect, and I've recited my adhkar, and I've recited my surah and my ayat al-kursi, and I'm not going to that lady. And the people were in shock. They thought the person's life was doomed. And he got married and had a perfect life, and that lady went out of business. Based on one person establishing that norm. So the point is that use this surah in your life, apply these ayat to your life, recite them on your children, memorize them, know what they mean, and use them. Use them as ruqya, use them as healing before you go to anywhere and anybody else. Before you go to the doctor and you pop the pill, use this mercy and this healing that Allah Azza wa Jal has sent down to us, these powerful chapters that we have in our hands. And we'll end this with this here, inshallah. And then we'll pray the Isha prayer, and then dinner will be served, inshallah. Subhanahu wa ta'ala.